talk about it here. And but I think that was definitely a good ruling. I want to encourage the newspapers in the area now that they have a ruling in their favor. I've certainly been one that has howled many times because they won't write difficult and hard-hitting stories. I hope this will loosen them up a little bit to do that. So we'll see how that works out.
Speaking of public records law and its related law, open meetings law, we have an ongoing issue with our friends at Team Santa Rosa regarding public meetings that are not happening.
Yes, we do.
Over there.
And just so our viewers will know this, this has been a 4-year journey for me. I've learned a lot along the ways. Actually, a member of the state's attorney's office gave me a nice compliment the other day. He said, Mr. Cool, you're pretty well versed on this stuff now. And I said, well, I've had to be, because we have organizations, and definitely one organization in Santa Rosa County that just continues to abuse me to death over this.
Well, we're having good luck now getting public records.
Yes, we are.
But we have not been able to establish whether or not those meetings that they hold are open to the public. And so we actually have taken it, this broadcast, have taken it to the state's attorney's office.
And asked for an opinion.
Yes.
on whether or not, the question is, and look, I want everybody, rather than for everybody to have to go to the school of hard knocks like I have, I'm going to take just a second here. There's two divisions, ladies and gentlemen. One is public records law, which is clearly defined, and briefly, if you receive the majority of your funding is by tax dollars, and you work in the shoes of government, if you make decisions that impact or change how things are done in government, then that organization, their records are open to the public. And that is the Maritime Park Board, the Arts Council Board, the Water Tower Board, the Park Board. That's every last one of them.
Including Team Santa Rosa.
Including Team Santa Rosa. The second part of the equation is the Sunshine Law. And the Sunshine Law deals with meetings of entities. And once again, the defining moment there is if the majority of your funding comes from taxpayer dollars. My belief is, and at least one attorney's belief is, and the Attorney General of the state of Florida's belief
Prior
opinion from the Attorney General, is that if an organization receives taxpayer money, majority of the funding, and they are making decisions in the footwork of the government, then they're required to have advertised public meetings.
Correct. And take minutes and keep track.
And take minutes and keep track. And what we've done, and look, I'll be fair with Team Santa Rosa and our audience. In negotiations for a new business potentially coming into Santa Rosa County, those can be held confidential, and myself or Deborah have never once asked to see any documentation while it's been in the confidential portion of the program.
Right.
Our main thing that we wanted to see is the operational budgets and the day-to-day activities. So we have asked for an opinion from the state's attorney's office. I think I know what the answer is, but they'll do a thorough job. I have all the faith in the world in them. I believe that it will come back that they do have to have open meetings, advertised open meetings, and there's actually 3 penalties if they haven't been doing it. There's criminal misdemeanor, criminal felony, and everything this organization has done since their inception has to be revoted.
That would be interesting.
And there's case law to back all that up. So, it's been a slow process. Look, I have been very patient in all of this.
And polite.
Now, Deborah was witness to me drawing a line in the sand at Team Santa Rosa at our last face-to-face visit. Made it very, very clear to them that I was done with it. 4 years was enough of my time, and I expected them to follow the letter of the law. And you and I can't make them do that. that's why we had to get the state's attorneys involved. So we'll see where that goes. And that's just a little update.
And it's important that those meetings be open, because this is the only way for the public really to monitor what's going on and where the vast amounts of money that go into this organization, our money, what's happening to that money. This is really our only way to monitor this.
So I guess.
Well, speaking of local
yeah, we got to do
business
a little
opportunities,
update. Yeah.
It looks like some people who have invested in property around Whiting Field, it looks like perhaps that may pay off here in the near future. We've gotten reports that the Navy now has money freed up to contribute towards a plan, a program that's already in place to buy property around Whiting Field. And this is supposed to prevent encroachment.
Right.
And we actually have a map that shows all of the potential land around Whiting Field that may or may not in coming years be up for purchase.
And when was that map first put together?
That map is from last year. That particular map is from last year. What's interesting to me is that a number of these properties were, not a lot of them, but there's a fair number of them that were purchased, I guess, by investors in 06 or 07.
And well, when did we first start talking about encroachment and buying property? Around 2002, right?
2003, they passed this J-Loose program, which basically limits what you can do
Around a
restricts
military
what
base.
you can do with the property around Whiting Field. And despite those restrictions, apparently several people went in and still thought it was a good enough prospect to purchase land right up around the base there.
Right. All that would kind of fall into the magical map that we'll have on the screen here in a minute. You know, look, whatever anybody wants to do with their money, hey, that's fine. If you want to burn it to light your cigar with, that's fine. If you want to buy property, look, I'm all for capitalism. But the one thing that I will say in this is that a lot of those properties were bought for a pretty high price in 06 and 07.
Land was going better
And
back then. There was a better market.
you know, since this is my tax dollars buying this land, and I'm certainly okay with working on this
Right.
encroachment program.
Preservation.
The preservation. Now, look, I'm all for it.
I agree.
I'm all for it.
And we may get lucky because the market's so bad. If they negotiate properly, they may actually pick some of these properties up for less than what the people who
Right.
own them bought them for.
Well, and
They could get a bargain price on a lot of these properties
we should,
if they appraise them correctly.
if you're going to negotiate properly for the taxpayers.
Right.
That would be the first big if. And if you have more than one appraiser doing the appraiser, which we constantly see the county doing, and I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Danhauser, but he got all excited when I expressed that we should get more than one appraisal. Well, you know what? I want an appraiser. I want the appraiser to be on my team when I'm buying something.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be on my team.
It's your money.
And
And we should mention that it's potentially about $20 million. Now, this is according to a report on this Department of Defense program, where they've set this money aside. It would be $5 million from the Department of Defense, and then it would be about $15 million from the state of Florida, all tax dollars, of course.
Right.
That would be put into a pile somewhere to buy land specifically around Whiting Field. So that's a lot of
yeah, and
that's a lot of money.
And we want the viewers to know that look, we've been carefully monitoring this for a while now, and now that there's another infusion of money, I don't mind somebody being paid fair value for something, but just like what's going on with bailouts right now, if you bought it high, if you bought it for $7,000 an acre and it's only worth $4,000 an acre, you just have to take a loss. Don't look for me to subsidize you. You know, I mean, that's the bottom line. Don't take the money.